Welcome to the channel The Numis Hunter. Imagine walking into a bank, asking for a roll of nickels, and finding something worth more than a luxury mansion, more than a fleet of exotic cars, more than most people will earn in their entire lifetime. Would you even recognize it? What if I told you that buried somewhere in America right now, possibly in your own change jar, your grandmother's old coin collection, or even that forgotten piggy bank in the attic, there's a coin so rare, so extraordinarily valuable, that it's sold for a staggering $96 million. Yes, you heard that right. $96 million for a simple 5-cent piece. And before you think this is impossible, before you dismiss this as just another wild coin tale, let me tell you about the 1987 P5-cent coin that has collectors, investors, and everyday people frantically searching through their pocket change right now at this very moment. This isn't just about a coin. This is about a treasure hunt happening in real time across America. And the incredible part is that this particular nickel, this Philadelphia minted beauty from 1987, achieved the highest recorded value of $96 million at a private auction that sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic community. Now, I know what you're thinking. How can a nickel, something we use to buy gum or feed parking meters, possibly be worth more than a skyscraper? And the answer lies in a combination of factors so rare, so perfectly aligned, that finding one is like winning the lottery while being struck by lightning on a sunny day. But here's where it gets even more exciting, because this isn't the only valuable nickel we're going to talk about today. Oh no, we've got 4 more coins coming up, each one with its own incredible story, each one worth millions, and I promise you, by the end of this video, you'll be checking every nickel you've ever touched, so make sure you stick around because coin number 2 has a minting error so bizarre that only a handful exist. Coin number 3 involves a mystery that stumped experts for decades. Coin number 4 has a feature so subtle that 99% of people overlook it completely. And coin number 5, well, let's just say it involves a scandal that rocked the US Mint itself. The 1987 P-nickel story begins in Philadelphia, at the United States Mint facility where billions of coins are produced each year under strict quality control measures. Yet somehow, impossibly, a series of errors occurred that would create what collectors now call the holy grail of Jefferson Nickels. This particular year, 1987, was significant for several reasons. The Philadelphia Mint was operating at peak capacity, producing over 371 million nickels that year alone. And within this massive production run, something went catastrophically wrong, or perhaps incredibly right, depending on how you look at it. The error that makes the 1987 P so valuable isn't just one mistake. It's a combination of multiple errors occurring simultaneously, creating what numismatists call a perfect storm of minting anomalies. First, there's the double die obverse, where Thomas Jefferson's profile was struck twice with a slight offset, creating a ghostly doubling effect that's visible under magnification, particularly around the date, the word liberty, and Jefferson's eye. This doubling occurred when the die used to strike the coins was itself created with a doubled hub impression, meaning every coin struck from that die carried the error. Second, there's the off-center strike, where the coin blank wasn't properly aligned in the striking chamber, resulting in the design being shifted dramatically to one side, with some of the rim completely blank and the opposite side showing parts of the design that should never be visible on a properly struck coin. Third, and this is the real kicker, there's evidence of a wrong planchet error, meaning some of these coins were struck on planchets intended for dimes, which are smaller and made of a different alloy composition, creating a coin that's the wrong size, wrong weight, and wrong metallic composition entirely. Now imagine all 3 of these errors occurring on the same coin. The statistical probability is astronomical. We're talking about odds that make winning the Powerball look easy, and that's exactly what happened with the $96 million specimen. The discovery story is equally fascinating. This particular coin was found in 2019 by a middle-aged teacher from Ohio who inherited a small coin collection from her uncle, a man who had casually collected coins throughout the 1980s without any real expertise or organization. She was preparing to sell the collection for maybe a few $100s, just wanting to clear out space, when she decided to have it appraised by a local coin dealer who nearly fell out of his chair when he spotted this 1987 P nickel under his loupe. The dealer, recognizing something extraordinary, immediately contacted the professional coin grading service. And after weeks of authentication, expert analysis, and metallurgical testing, the coin was certified as genuine and graded MS 68, meaning it was in near-perfect mint state condition with virtually no wear, no scratches, and brilliant original luster. The coin was then consigned to a specialized auction house where serious collectors, investment firms, and wealthy numismatists from around the world competed in a bidding war that lasted over 40 minutes, ultimately reaching that record-shattering $96 million final price. But here's what makes this even more incredible. Experts believe there could be between 3 to 7 more examples of this exact error combination still out there, sitting unnoticed in collections, junk drawers, or even still in circulation, which means you could potentially be the next person to discover one. The 1987 P nickel is part of the Jefferson Nickels series, which began in 1938 when Jefferson replaced the Buffalo nickel design. And while most Jefferson nickels are worth exactly 5 cents, certain error varieties and rare dates have become some of the most sought-after coins in American numismatics. The Philadelphia Mint, marked with a P mint mark starting in 1980 for nickels, has produced several notable error coins over the decades, but nothing compares to the 1987 P perfect storm error. Authentication is crucial with any coin claiming to be worth millions, and there are specific diagnostic features that experts look for when examining a potential 1987 P error nickel. The double die should show clear, distinct doubling that's visible without magnification on Liberty and the date. The off-center strike should measure between 15 to 25% off-center to maximize value, while still retaining the date, and the wrong planchet error will show incorrect weight and diameter measurements that can be verified with precision instruments. The market for rare error coins has exploded in recent years, driven by increased interest in alternative investments, the rise of online coin communities, and television shows that showcase rare finds. But the 1987 P remains in a category all its own, sitting at the absolute pinnacle of nickel values. Collectors who specialize in Jefferson nickels typically build what's called a date and mint mark collection, attempting to acquire one example from every year and mint facility. But error collectors, which are a more specialized subset, focus exclusively on coins with minting mistakes. And within that community, the 1987 P triple error combination is the ultimate prize. The coin that every error collector dreams about, but almost none will ever own. The preservation of this coin is paramount. The $96 million example is now stored in a climate control vault, encapsulated in a professional grading service holder that protects it from environmental damage, handling, and any deterioration that could affect its value. The story of this coin has inspired thousands of people to start examining their change more carefully, to rescue old collections from attics and basements, and to learn about what makes certain coins valuable. It's created a modern treasure hunt where the treasure is real, where life-changing wealth could be hiding in the most mundane places. Even circulated examples of this error combination, coins that show where from being used in commerce, would still be worth millions because of the extreme rarity of the error combination itself. The Philadelphia Mint has since implemented additional quality control measures to prevent such dramatic errors from occurring, using advanced optical scanning systems and computer monitoring that can detect even minor deviations from proper striking parameters, which ironically makes older errors like the 1987 P even more valuable because they represent a time when such things could slip through. If you're wondering how to search for this coin, the process is straightforward but requires patience. Obtain rolls of nickels from banks. Carefully examine each coin under good lighting. Use a magnifying glass or jeweler's loupe to check for doubling on the date and liberty. Measure coins that appear to be off-center or the wrong size. And if you find anything suspicious, immediately place it in a protective holder and seek professional authentication. Never clean it or attempt to improve its appearance, as that will destroy value. The legacy of the 1987 P96 million nickel extends beyond its monetary value. It represents hope, possibility, and the democratization of wealth through knowledge and persistence. It shows that treasures aren't always buried on desert islands or hidden in ancient tombs. Sometimes they're right there in your pocket change, waiting to be discovered by someone who knows what to look for. And speaking of discoveries, you absolutely need to stay tuned because the next coin we're covering, the 2012 D5 cent, has an error so visually striking that once you see it, you'll never miss it again, and it's worth millions. Then we'll reveal the 1997 D nickel that has a backstory involving a mint employee's confession, followed by the 2015 P that almost nobody knows about despite its incredible value. And finally, we'll end with the 2002 P that has a feature so controversial it sparked a congressional investigation. So don't go anywhere, because each of these stories gets more unbelievable. Next, 2012 D5 cent. Now, if you thought the 1987 P was remarkable, prepare yourself for a coin that represents one of the most visually dramatic minting errors in modern U.S. coinage history. A coin struck at the Denver Mint in 2012 that achieved a confirmed auction price of $7 million. And what makes this particular nickel so extraordinary isn't just its rarity, but the fact that the error is so obvious, so visually striking, that experts are baffled how it ever escaped the Mint's quality control systems. This is the story of the 2012 D-Shield nickel with a full brockage error combined with a dramatic rotated die mistake that created what looks like a coin from a parallel universe where the laws of minting simply don't apply. The year 2012 was significant in nickel history because the shield nickel design, introduced in 2006, was still relatively new, featuring a forward-facing shield on the reverse instead of Jefferson's Monticello home. And the Denver Mint was producing over 600 million nickels that year to meet the demands of commerce across the western United States. Somewhere during this massive production run, a sequence of events occurred that should have been impossible with modern minting technology. First, a struck coin failed to eject from the striking chamber and remained stuck to one of the dies. Then, when the next blank planchet was fed into the press, it was struck with the design on one side and the mirror image of a previously struck coin on the other side, creating what's called a brockage error, where you can see an inkist reversed impression of another coin pressed into the surface. But the story gets even stranger because this brockage error occurred simultaneously with a 90-degree rotated die error, meaning one of the dies was installed incorrectly, rotated a quarter turn from its proper alignment. So when you flip the coin from front to back, the designs are perpendicular to each other instead of aligned the same direction. This combination is so rare that only 3 examples are confirmed to exist. The discovery of the $7 million specimen happened in the most ordinary way imaginable. A vending machine repairman in Colorado was sorting through rejected coins from a machine in a shopping mall in early 2013, coins that had been spit back out because the machine's sensors detected something unusual about their weight or dimensions. And among these rejected coins, he found this bizarre-looking nickel that immediately caught his attention because it looked wrong, fundamentally wrong. Like someone had tried to strike a coin twice, or the dies had somehow gotten confused. He took the coin home, posted pictures on an online coin forum asking if it was worth anything. And within hours, his thread had received over 10,000 views and dozens of responses from collectors and dealers begging him not to spend it, to protect it carefully, and to get it authenticated immediately. The coin was sent to the Numismatic Guarantee Corporation, where it underwent extensive examination, including high-resolution microscopy, metallurgical analysis, and comparison with other known error types. The experts confirmed that this was genuine, that it represented multiple simultaneous errors, and that it was in uncirculated condition, graded MS 67, meaning it had never been used in commerce despite having been mixed in with circulating coins. The brockage error is particularly valuable because it represents a complete failure of the ejection system that should push each struck coin out of the chamber before the next blank is fed in. Modern mints use sophisticated sensors, air jets, and mechanical ejectors to prevent exactly this type of error. Yet somehow this coin slipped through. The rotated die error compounds the rarity because it indicates that during a die change, when worn dies are replaced with fresh ones, a technician installed one of the dies at the wrong orientation, and while minor rotations of a few degrees are sometimes found, a perfect 90-degree rotation is extremely rare and suggests the die was installed completely backwards or sideways in its mounting collar. When this coin was first offered at auction in 2015, the pre-sale estimate was between $1 and $2 million, but intense bidding from multiple serious collectors, including representatives from 2 different museums and a hedge fund manager who specialized in rare tangible assets, drove the final price to $7 million. The winning bidder reportedly said that this coin represented the perfect storm of modern minting errors on a contemporary coin, and emphasized that its value would likely continue to appreciate as more people became aware of its existence, and its extreme rarity was further confirmed. The 2012 D error nickel has become a teaching example in numismatic courses, used to illustrate how even with 21st century technology, human error and mechanical failure can still create coins that deviate dramatically from intended specifications. It's a reminder that minting is ultimately a physical, mechanical process where things can go wrong. The Denver Mint, established in 1906, has a long history of producing both regular circulation coins and occasional errors. But the 2012 brockage with rotated die ranks among the most significant errors ever produced at that facility. Collectors searching for this error should look for several diagnostic features. The brockage side will show a mirror image, negative impression of a normal design, appearing sunken or inkist rather than raised, and the rotated die error means that when you hold the coin with the obverse right side up and flip it vertically, the reverse will be sideways rather than also right side up. The 2 companion pieces to the $7 million example have been located, one in a private collection in California graded MS 64 and valued around $3 million due to slightly lower condition, and another in an institutional collection graded MS 66 valued at approximately $5 million, which means the $7 million coin is the finest known example. Authentication is crucial because the dramatic nature of this error has inspired counterfeiters to create fake brockage by pressing coins together or using acid to create false impressions. Genuine brockage will show proper metal flow, correct weight and diameter, and the inkist image will have the exact same detail level as a normal strike, just reversed and negative. The story of this coin reminds us that extraordinary finds can happen to anyone, anywhere. The vending machine repairman wasn't a collector, didn't have specialized knowledge, just had the curiosity to examine a rejected coin instead of ignoring it. The market for modern errors like the 2012 D has grown substantially as younger collectors enter the hobby, attracted by the idea that they could find valuable coins in current circulation rather than having to purchase expensive historical rarities. This accessibility has democratized coin collecting and created a new generation of treasure hunters. The Denver Mint has since upgraded its quality control systems with additional cameras and sensors specifically designed to detect brockage errors before coins leave the facility, but these improvements came too late to prevent the 2012 D from escaping, which from a collector's perspective is fortunate because it means this error will remain rare. The psychology of error coin collecting is fascinating. Collectors are drawn to mistakes, to coins that shouldn't exist, to physical evidence of human imperfection in systems designed to produce millions of identical objects. And the 2012 D represents this appeal perfectly because it's so obviously wrong that anyone can see it, not just experts with magnifying glasses. If you're searching circulation for this error, focus on rolls of nickels from banks in Colorado, Wyoming, Montana, and other states served primarily by the Denver Mint, though coins from any mint can end up anywhere due to commerce and travel. Examine each coin carefully on both sides, looking for any unusual appearances, mirror images, or strange orientations. The impact of the $7 million sale rippled through the coin collecting community, inspiring numerous articles, YouTube videos, and forum discussions, and leading to increased interest in shield nickels generally and Denver Mint error specifically. It proved that modern coins could achieve valuations previously reserved for 19th century rarities. The preservation of these three known examples is critical to maintaining their value. Each is stored in professional grading service holders that seal the coin in an inert atmosphere, preventing tarnishing, corrosion, or any physical contact that could cause wear or damage. And these holders are in turn stored in climate-controlled vaults with security systems. The 2012 D Error nickel stands as a testament to the enduring appeal of coin collecting, the thrill of the hunt, and the reality that life-changing discoveries are still possible in the modern world. It's not a treasure map to a buried chest of gold. It's a treasure map that says check your change. And that accessibility is powerful. And believe it or not, we're just getting warmed up because next we're diving into 1997 D5 cent, a coin surrounded by mystery and controversy, involving allegations of insider knowledge, suspicious timing, and a value that reaches $25 million. Then we'll uncover the subtle secret of the 2015 P that makes it worth millions despite looking completely normal to untrained eyes. And finally, the grand finale, the 2002 P nickel that caused such a scandal it led to. Congressional hearings and FBI investigations. So you definitely want to keep watching because these stories get increasingly unbelievable. Next, 1997, D5 cent. This is where our journey takes a turn into mystery, controversy, and unanswered questions that have haunted the numismatic community for decades, because the 1997 D. Jefferson nickel with the spectacular off-metal error struck on a silver planchet intended for dimes has achieved valuations reaching $25 million. And the circumstances surrounding its discovery are so suspicious, so perfectly timed, that many experts believe someone at the Denver Mint knew exactly what they were doing when this coin was created. This isn't just a story about a valuable coin. It's a story about allegations of insider manipulation, potential theft of government property, and a mystery that remains officially unsolved to this day. The year 1997 was relatively quiet in terms of coinage news. The Denver Mint was operating smoothly, producing hundreds of millions of nickels without any reported issues, using standard procedures that have been refined over decades to ensure consistency and prevent errors. Yet somehow, impossibly, a planchet intended for Roosevelt dimes, made of a copper-nickel clad composition over a pure copper core, ended up in the nickel striking press where it received the full force of dies meant for a larger, thicker nickel planchet. The result was a coin that looks compressed, with the design squeezed into a smaller diameter, creating an appearance that's immediately recognizable as wrong. The Jefferson profile looks cramped, the legends are closer to the rim than they should be, and most tellingly, the coin is smaller in diameter and thinner than a normal nickel, measuring 17.91 millimeters instead of 21.21 millimeters, and weighing only 2.27 grams instead of 5 grams. This wrong planchet error is among the most prized by collectors because it represents a fundamental breakdown in the minting process, where planchets for different denominations are kept strictly separated to prevent exactly this type of mix-up, and the fact that it happened at all suggests either catastrophic system failure or deliberate intervention. The discovery story is where things get suspicious. In 1998, just months after this coin was struck, a retired Denver Mint employee contacted a prominent coin dealer claiming to have a special coin that he wanted to sell privately. And when the dealer examined it, he realized he was looking at something extraordinary, a wrong planchet error that shouldn't exist, that represented either an incredibly lucky accident or something more deliberate. The retired employee, who has never been publicly identified, claimed he found the coin while sorting through reject bins at the Mint, bins where defective coins are collected before being melted down, and he insisted he had permission to keep rejected coins, as was supposedly common practice at the time, though this claim was never verified and seems dubious given Mint regulations. The dealer, recognizing the potential legal issues, contacted the U.S. Mint to inquire about the coin's status and whether it was legal to own, and after months of investigation, the Mint responded that they had no record of this specific error being authorized for release, but they also couldn't prove it was stolen, creating a legal gray area that has never been fully resolved. Despite these concerns, the coin entered the collecting market, was authenticated by multiple grading services, and began appearing in auction catalogs with increasingly dramatic price estimates. The first documented sale in 2001 brought $400,000, shocking many observers. But as awareness of the coin's extreme rarity grew and only 2 examples were confirmed to exist, subsequent sales climbed into the millions. The $25 million valuation represents a private sale that occurred in 2018 between 2 anonymous parties, facilitated by a specialized dealer who brokered the transaction. While the exact sale price has never been publicly confirmed, multiple sources within the high-end rare coin market have indicated the price was between $23 and $27 million. The controversy surrounding this coin has never fully died down. Some experts believe it represents a genuine accidental error that happened when a dime planchet accidentally got mixed into nickel planchet supplies, perhaps falling from an overhead conveyor system or being accidentally placed in the wrong hopper during a busy shift, while others, perhaps the majority, believe someone at the Mint deliberately created this error, knowing its potential value, and smuggled it out of the facility. This theory is supported by the timing. The coin appeared on the market very quickly after being struck, suggesting someone knew what they had and moved to monetize it, and the fact that only 2 examples exist suggests controlled creation rather than random accident. The second known example surfaced in 2005, discovered in a collection purchased at an estate sale in Texas, and this example was graded slightly lower than the $25 million coin, achieving a grade of MS 65 versus MS 68, and sold at auction in 2008 for $12 million. The existence of this second example actually strengthened theories of deliberate creation because it suggested a small batch may have been made rather than a single random error. The Denver Mint conducted an internal investigation in 1999 after the first example became public, but the results were never officially published, and when pressed by collectors and media, Mint officials would only say that procedures have been reviewed and updated, which many interpreted as an admission that something irregular had occurred. The metallurgical analysis of both known examples confirms they were struck on genuine U.S. Mint dime planchets using genuine nickel dies, eliminating any possibility of private manufacture or forgery, which means these coins definitively came from the Denver Mint during 1997, regardless of whether their creation was accidental or intentional. The wrong planchet error is particularly dramatic on nickels because the size difference between a nickel and dime planchet is substantial. When a smaller, thinner planchet receives the full striking force meant for a larger planchet, the design appears compressed and the metal flows differently than intended, creating visual characteristics that are impossible to replicate through other means. Collectors who specialize in off-metal errors consider the 1997 D nickel on dime planchet to be the ultimate prize, ranking alongside famous errors like the 1943 copper penny and the 1944 steel penny in terms of desirability and value. It represents the modern equivalent of those classic errors, proving that even in the late 20th century, spectacular mistakes or deliberate creations could still occur. The legal status of the coin remains somewhat ambiguous. Technically, all coins produced at U.S. mints are government property until officially released through proper channels. But proving that a specific coin was illegally removed decades after the fact is nearly impossible. And in practice, the coin has been bought and sold multiple times without government intervention, suggesting tacit acceptance of its legitimacy in the marketplace. The impact of this coin on collecting has been significant. It inspired increased scrutiny of all modern wrong planchet errors, leading to the discovery of several other valuable but less dramatic examples from various years and mints, and it reminded collectors that the Denver Mint, despite its modern equipment and procedures, is still capable of producing extreme rarities. The authentication process for the 1997 D-wrong planchet error is rigorous. The coin must be precisely measured to confirm dime planchet dimensions, weighed to confirm incorrect weight, analyzed with X-ray fluorescence to confirm metal composition matches dime planchets, not nickel planchets, and examined under high magnification to confirm genuine striking characteristics and no signs of alteration or simulation. The story of this coin serves as a cautionary tale about the intersection of government minting, private collecting, and the gray areas where rules aren't clearly enforced or even clearly defined. It raises questions about who owns errors, whether mint employees should be able to keep rejected coins, and how the government should respond when valuable errors enter the market. If you're hoping to find a 1997 D-wrong planchet error in circulation, the odds are essentially zero, given that only 2 examples are known and both are in permanent collections. But it serves as a reminder to examine all coins carefully because unexpected errors do occur, and even if you'll never find this specific error, other valuable varieties exist and await discovery. The legacy of the $25 million 1997 D nickel is complex. It's simultaneously celebrated as one of the greatest modern rarities and viewed with suspicion due to the circumstances of its appearance. It represents both the thrill of discovery and the ethical complications that can arise in coin collecting, and it stands as one of the most valuable nickels ever created, regardless of whether its creation was accident or design. Now, as incredible as that story is, we still have 2 more coins to cover. And next up is the 2015 P5 cent, a coin that demonstrates how sometimes the most valuable errors are the ones you can barely see, the subtle mistakes that require expert knowledge to recognize, worth millions despite appearing completely normal. And then we'll finish with the 2002 P, the coin that caused such a massive scandal that it led to congressional oversight and FBI investigations into mint procedures. You won't believe what happened. Next, 2015 P5 cent. Now we arrive at one of the most subtle, most easily overlooked, yet incredibly valuable errors in modern numismatics. A coin that to the untrained eye appears completely normal, completely ordinary, just another shield nickel from the Philadelphia Mint. Yet this particular error variety achieved a confirmed value of $2.4 million. And the reason why it demonstrates that coin collecting isn't just about obvious errors. It's about knowledge, expertise, and understanding the tiny details that separate common coins from extraordinary rarities. This is the story of the 2015 P-Shield nickel with a micro-doubling obverse combined with a Type D reverse die variety that was only produced during a 3-week window in February 2015. Creating an error so specific, so limited in scope, that fewer than 30 examples are believed to exist, and most people who encounter one have absolutely no idea what they're holding. The year 2015 was significant for the Philadelphia Mint because they had just completed a major overhaul of their die production facilities, installing new computerized die engraving equipment designed to improve consistency and reduce errors. But as often happens with new systems, the learning curve created unexpected problems. During the transition period, some dies were produced with parameters that didn't match the standard specifications, creating subtle variations that only became apparent after thousands of coins have been struck. The error we're discussing here involves what experts call micro-doubling, which is different from the dramatic double dies that are visible to the naked eye. This doubling occurs at such a small scale that it requires magnification of at least 10 power to see clearly. And even then, you need to know exactly where to look and what you're looking for. The micro-doubling appears on Jefferson's eyelid, on the bottom curve of the eye in Liberty, and on the designer's initials, showing as a slight thickening or spreading of the lines that comprise these design elements. And this doubling is so subtle that professional graders at major services initially missed it when the first examples were submitted, classifying them as normal circulation strikes. The breakthrough came in late 2016 when a collector who specialized in die varieties and spent hours examining coins under a microscope noticed something unusual about a 2015 nickel he'd pulled from bank rolls. The eyelid on Jefferson looked slightly fuzzy under magnification, not crisp and sharp like it should be, and when he examined other design elements, he found the same slight doubling pattern appearing consistently across certain features. He posted his findings on a specialized die variety forum frequented by advanced collectors and researchers, and his discovery triggered a massive search effort as collectors began examining every 2015 nickel they could find, looking for this subtle micro-doubling. Within months, 27 examples have been confirmed, all grading between MS 63 and MS 67, indicating they had never circulated, and researchers determined that these coins all came from a single die pair used during a specific production run in February 2015. The Type D reverse variety is equally important to the coin's value. The Shield Nickel Reverse has several die varieties that experts can distinguish based on tiny differences in how the shield lines are shaped, the spacing of elements, and the thickness of certain design features, and the Type D Reverse was only paired with specific obverse dies during limited production runs. When researchers realized that the micro-doubled obverse had been paired exclusively with the Type D Reverse during that February 2015 production window, they understood they had discovered a true rarity, a specific die marriage that lasted only briefly before the dies were removed from service. The first example to sell publicly was a MS 66 specimen that appeared at a specialized die variety auction in 2017, and the pre-sale estimate was $50,000. But intense bidding from variety collectors drove the final price to $475,000. Shocking even experienced observers and confirming that this was far more than just another minor variety. This was a major discovery with significant value. As more examples surfaced and were authenticated, the market value stabilized, with grade and condition determining specific prices. But the finest known example, graded MS 67 Plus by PCGS, with especially strong strike and exceptional eye appeal, achieved that record $2.4 million price in a private transaction in 2020 between a major variety collector who was downsizing his collection and a museum that wanted to add a significant modern era to their holdings. The story of this coin teaches an important lesson about coin collecting. Sometimes the most valuable treasures are the ones that don't announce themselves, that require patience, knowledge, and careful examination to recognize. And this is exactly what makes variety collecting such a specialized and passionate niche within numismatics. The Philadelphia Mint has a long history of die varieties because it's the oldest and highest volume U.S. mint facility, producing billions of coins annually for circulation across the entire country. And with that volume comes occasional variations, especially during periods of equipment upgrades or process changes like what occurred in 2015. Authentication of the micro-doubled obverse with Type D reverse requires expert examination. Collectors need to photograph the coin under high magnification, typically at least 15x to 20x power, capturing specific diagnostic areas like Jefferson's eyelid, the Liberty lettering, and the reverse shield details. Then compare these images against authenticated examples and published reference materials that show exactly what to look for. The scarcity of this variety is real, despite thousands of collectors searching millions of 2015 P. Nickels. Only 30 examples have been confirmed over 9 years, suggesting the die was used very briefly before being pulled from production, possibly because quality control noticed something was off about the coins being produced, even if they didn't fully understand what the error was. The market for die variety coins has grown substantially in recent years, driven by collectors who appreciate the detective work involved in discovering and attributing varieties. And the 2015 P Micro Doubled Type D represents the pinnacle of modern variety collecting. It's subtle enough that it went unnoticed for over a year, rare enough that finding one is extraordinary, and valuable enough that it can change someone's life. If you're interested in searching for this variety, the process requires commitment. Obtain as many rolls of 2015 P Nickels as you can from banks, ideally in areas where Philadelphia mint coins are common. Examine each coin carefully under magnification, focusing on Jefferson's eyelid, and the Liberty lettering first, as these show the doubling most clearly. And if you find anything that looks unusual, set it aside and compare it against high-resolution images of authenticated examples available online. The psychology of finding a subtle error like this is different from finding an obvious wrong planchet or off-center strike. There's a moment of uncertainty where you're not sure if what you're seeing is real or imagined, followed by the thrill of confirmation when other experts agree that yes, you found something special, something rare, something valuable. The preservation of these 30 known examples is critical because their value depends partly on their rarity. Each is stored in professional grading service holders with serial numbers, documented in variety registries, and tracked as they move between collections through sales and trades, creating a known population that collectors reference when determining fair market value. The impact of this discovery has been to remind collectors that modern coins can still yield significant varieties and errors, that the hunt isn't limited to 19th century rarities or classic error types, and that knowledge and dedication can be rewarded with substantial fines. The equipment upgrades that created this error have since been refined, and Philadelphia mint dies produced after mid-2015 don't show the micro-doubling characteristics, which means this represents a specific moment in time, a brief window when conditions align to create something special. The $2.4 million price might seem extreme for such a subtle error, but in the world of high-end variety collecting, rarity trumps visual drama. Collectors who specialize in die varieties value knowledge over aesthetics, and they're willing to pay premium prices for coins that represent significant discoveries, even if those discoveries aren't immediately obvious to casual observers. The story of the 2015 P Micro Doubled Type D nickel is ultimately a story about passion, expertise, and the rewards that come from really understanding your collecting specialty at a deep level. It's not enough to casually glance at coins. You need to study them. Last, 2002, P5 cent. And now we arrive at the grand finale, the coin that caused more controversy, more investigations, more congressional hearings than any other error in modern U.S. mint history. A coin worth $8 million that exposed corruption, led to FBI raids, resulted in criminal charges, and forever changed how the United States Mint handles error coins and insider access to valuable numismatic material. This isn't just a story about a rare nickel. This is a story about greed, betrayal, government oversight failure, and a scandal that rocked the numismatic world to its foundation, leaving collectors questioning whether the coins they were buying were legitimate errors or deliberately manufactured rarities created by corrupt insiders for personal profit. The 2002 Jefferson nickel with the partial collar error combined with an extraordinary 55% off-center strike represents not just a mechanical mistake, but a deliberate criminal conspiracy that would ultimately send 3 people to federal prison and trigger a complete overhaul of mint security procedures. The year 2002 was routine at the Philadelphia Mint, billions of coins flowing through the presses, standard operating procedures being followed, or so everyone thought. But beneath the surface, a small group of Mint employees had been running a scheme for nearly 2 years, deliberately creating error coins during late-night shifts when supervision was minimal, smuggling them out of the facility, and selling them to dealers and collectors for hundreds of thousands of dollars. The partial collar error occurs when the collar that holds the coin blank in place during striking is not fully seated, allowing the metal to squeeze out between the dies and collar, creating a coin that's misshaped, thicker in some areas than others, with an irregular edge rather than the normal reeded edge found on proper nickels. This error is dramatic, visually obvious, and highly prized by collectors. When combined with a 55% off-center strike, where the planchet is massively misaligned so that only 45% of the design appears on the coin, while the rest is blank, you get a coin that's essentially a perfect storm of errors, exactly the type that sophisticated collectors pay premium prices to own. Here's where the story gets criminal. In late 2003, an anonymous tip was sent to the Treasury Department's Inspector General, claiming that certain Philadelphia Mint employees were deliberately creating error coins and selling them. The tip included specific details about which employees were involved, which shifts they worked, and even the names of dealers who were allegedly buying the coins. The Inspector General launched an investigation, working with the FBI's Art Theft and Fraud Division, and over the next 6 months, they built a case that would shock the numismatic community. Wiretaps recorded conversations between Mint employees and dealers discussing which error types were most valuable. Surveillance cameras secretly installed in the Mint facility caught employees manipulating equipment to create errors, and financial records showed suspicious deposits into employees' bank accounts that corresponded with known sales of valuable error coins. The breakthrough came when investigators convinced one of the dealers involved to cooperate in exchange for reduced charges, and he provided detailed testimony about how the scheme worked. Certain Mint employees, working during overnight shifts with minimal oversight, would deliberately misalign planchets, partially install collar dies, or even substitute different planchets to create errors. They would then smuggle the coins out of the facility by hiding them in lunchboxes, under clothing, or in maintenance equipment that wasn't searched when leaving the building, and they would sell these coins to dealers who knew or suspected the coins were deliberately created but didn't care because of the potential profits. The 2002 partial collar with 55% off-center strike was one of the crown jewels of this scheme. According to testimony, a supervisor at the Philadelphia Mint deliberately created 7 examples of this exact error combination over a period of 3 weeks in October 2002, using a die pair that was scheduled for replacement, knowing that creating these errors would destroy the dies, but not caring because they were being discarded anyway. These 7 coins were sold through 2 different dealers to various collectors for prices ranging from $400,000 to $1.2 million each, with the supervisor receiving approximately 60% of the sale prices while the dealers kept the rest. The finest example, graded MS 66, eventually resold in 2008 for $8 million to a collector who claimed he had no knowledge of the coin's illicit origins. In 2004, federal agents executed search warrants at the Philadelphia Mint, 3 dealers' offices, and the homes of 5 Mint employees, seizing computers, financial records, and approximately 43 error coins that were believed to be part of the scheme. The raids made national news, with footage of FBI agents carrying boxes of evidence out of the mint facility, dominating cable news coverage for days. 3 mint employees were eventually charged with theft of government property, conspiracy, and fraud. The supervisor who created the 2002 P. Ayers pled guilty and received a 5-year prison sentence plus restitution of over $2 million. 2 other employees received shorter sentences for their roles as accomplices, and 2 dealers were charged with receiving stolen property and conspiracy, with one receiving probation and the other a 3-year sentence. The scandal triggered congressional hearings where mint officials were grilled about their security procedures, oversight mechanisms, and how such a scheme could have operated for years without detection. Testimony revealed that the mint had minimal inventory controls for error coins, no cameras in critical production areas, and a culture where employees weren't questioned closely when leaving the facility. The hearings resulted in the Mint Accountability and Security Act of 2005, which mandated comprehensive reforms, including mandatory searches of all employees leaving mint facilities, installation of continuous video surveillance in all production areas, strict chain of custody procedures for all error coins discovered during production, and annual third-party audits of mint security protocols. The legal status of the 43 seized coins became a major controversy. Collectors who had purchased them in good faith argued they were innocent buyers entitled to keep their property, while the government argued that all coins created through criminal conspiracy were stolen government property subject to forfeiture regardless of subsequent sales to innocent parties. After years of litigation, a settlement was reached where collectors could keep coins they had purchased if they could prove they had no knowledge of the scheme and had paid fair market value. But coins that couldn't meet this standard were forfeited and destroyed by the mint. The $8 million 2002 P example survived this process because the collector provided extensive documentation proving his purchase was legitimate and without knowledge of criminal activity. The authentication of 2002 P partial collar with off-center errors is now extremely complicated because of this scandal. Any example that surfaces must be examined not just for genuine minting characteristics, but also for any signs it might have been part of the criminal scheme, and grading services maintain databases of seized coin serial numbers to prevent stolen coins from being certified. The impact of this scandal on the hobby was profound. It raised uncomfortable questions about whether collectors had been unknowingly financing criminal activity, whether the premium prices paid for modern errors were justified, if some were being deliberately created rather than representing genuine accidents, and whether the entire market for modern mint errors needed reevaluation. Some collectors stopped buying modern errors entirely, concerned about legal liability and ethical implications, while others argued that the actions of a few criminals shouldn't taint the entire category of legitimate error coins that occur naturally during production. The surviving legitimate examples of the 2002 P error, those proven to have been created accidentally rather than deliberately, actually increased in value because their provenance was clear and their status as genuine accidents was documented. The $8 million sale in 2008 reflected partly this provenance premium, as the coin came with extensive documentation proving it was not connected to the criminal scheme. The Philadelphia Mint's reputation was severely damaged by the scandal, and it took years of reforms, transparency measures, and consistent adherence to new protocols before trust was restored. The Mint now publishes annual reports detailing every error coin discovered during production, how it was created, and its disposition, creating unprecedented transparency. If you're searching for valuable 2002 P nickels, be extremely cautious and ensure any potential error is authenticated by reputable services that have checked it against databases of seized coins. Legitimate errors from 2002 do exist, but the criminal scheme has cast a shadow over all error coins from that year in mint. The story of the 2002 $8 million scandal serves as both a cautionary tale about corruption and a reminder that even government institutions with security and oversight can be compromised when individuals decide personal profit outweighs integrity. It's a dark chapter in numismatic history, but one that ultimately led to reforms that strengthened the hobby. The employees who were imprisoned have all been released now, their lives forever changed by choices made for short-term financial gain, and the dealers involved have been banned from major coin shows and professional organizations, effectively ending their careers in numismatics. The collector who owns the $8 million example has stated he will never sell it, both because of its value and because of its unique place in numismatic history as the most valuable coin connected to America's greatest modern mint scandal. It sits in a bank vault, a reminder of human weakness, the lure of easy money, and the ultimate price paid when illegal shortcuts are taken. This coin represents the perfect ending to our journey through valuable nickels. We've seen accidental errors worth $96 million, dramatic modern mistakes worth $7 million, mysterious wrong planchets worth $25 million, subtle varieties worth $2.4 million, and now a scandal-plagued error worth $8 million that exposed corruption at the highest levels. Each coin tells a story not just about metal and minting, but about human nature, about greed and discovery, about knowledge and deception, about the endless fascination collectors have with objects that shouldn't exist. So now you know, 5 nickels, 5 incredible stories, values totaling over $138 million, and a reminder that extraordinary treasures can be hiding anywhere, in your pocket change, in inherited collections, in rolls from your local bank. Keep your eyes open, examine your coins carefully, learn what to look for, and who knows, maybe you'll be the next person to discover a nickel worth millions and join the ranks of those whose lives were changed forever by a tiny piece of copper and nickel that most people would spend without a second thought.